Hi friends, it's Pam and I'm here with my monthly update video telling you everything that I was up to in the month of January. Starting with podcast first, as always, there were 2 episodes of my podcast Media Mavens. The first one of January was our 2007 wrap-up, where Riley and I talked a bit about all of our favorite media from the previous year. So we covered our favorite games and movies and shows. We tried to cover books, although I don't think either of us read any books that were actually from 2017. And the second one was an episode that we did where the main topic was Black Mirror. And for this episode, we talked to Catherine Cross, who is a writer who I really admire. I think she is brilliant. I was really happy that she came on the podcast. She had written an article about the episode USS Callister. So we talked a lot about that, and our Black Mirror discussion sort of focused on the more positive episodes of the show. I mean, they can all be very, very dark and cynical, but we mostly focused on USS Callister, San Junipero, and Black Museum, though we did also talk about some of the other episodes as well, and the sort of themes from the show. I think it was a really fantastic episode. I think it was probably one of our best ones, so check that out if you haven't listened already. There's also a video that I contributed to that was part of a large collaboration that came out in January, and it was put together by Wes on the channel Notorious Wes. I'll put a link to it in the description below, and the video was about the best start screen music in NES games. So there were a total of 10 different games mentioned. I provided the voiceover for one of them. It's a game that I have reviewed on my channel as a little hint to it, and there were 10 YouTubers involved, a lot of people who I've mentioned on this show before, Rewind Mike, Brazzle the Gamer, Mike from Dude You Haven't Played This Game, or Dongled as his channel is called, plus a bunch of other YouTubers who are all really fun and who you should check out. And I think the video came together really nicely, and there was some excellent music mentioned. So if you're into NES music, definitely go check that out. Also, I just wanted to mention one of my videos from January, just in case you haven't watched it. As part of my celebration for getting 10,000 subscribers, I wanted to share the love a little bit, and I did a video shouting out 9 great YouTubers who talk about gaming, who were all women. And I'm really happy with how the video turned out. I kept a lot of attention. I went and I wrote down how many subscribers people had before my video, and then I checked on them afterward to see if I was actually providing them some traffic, some new subs, and some people got a couple hundred subscribers. So I'm super excited that everyone who subscribes and watches my channel went and checked out those other channels. I'm very, very happy because sometimes I'm not totally sure if my shoutouts are doing a lot. So I'm thrilled. Thank you to everyone who checked out those other channels and subscribed to them and left them nice comments. That was sort of one of my favorite videos I've done now, I think, and it made me feel good that I could share the love a little bit and also introduce people to great new content. Now, as for pickups, there's not a ton. I kind of feel like this pickup section might be getting cut from these videos at some point, because as far as retro games go, I kind of have everything I want. And even if I don't have it physically, I have a RetroPie, I've got emulators, so I don't really feel the need to get a whole lot of other games. I'm actually not really much of a collector. That's really Will, who's into owning lots of stuff. I'm perfectly fine to have it digital and only have the things I've played or plan to play at some point. So there's just a couple things, and they're both Xbox One games. So I got Song of the Deep, which I have this on Steam actually, and I've started playing it on Steam. I would just really rather play it on console, so this was cheap. I think it was like 10 bucks at GameStop, so I picked it up and I'll start it again on Xbox. And then the other thing, Will really wanted to play something modern that was co-op, and there's not a lot that's co-op. So we got Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Yay! I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan. I played Modern Warfare before, and this is just my second Call of Duty game. So with that, let's go right into what I've been playing. So we played about 3 hours of Call of Duty. You can do the campaign, sorry, I'm just putting my glass down on the floor. You can do the campaign couch co-op, and there's also like a zombie survival mode, which we just did for a little bit. And it's fine, like, it's a Call of Duty game. You shoot a bunch of stuff. Spoiler alert, if that's a thing with these games. I've played 2 Call of Duty games, and in both of them, you get your arm ripped off at the very beginning. Like, is that how every Call of Duty starts? Because I'm finding it's a trend, and I'm just wondering, like, is that the thing for all of the modern and advanced warfare ones, so you can be like this human-robot hybrid? And then I just want to talk a little bit about the couch co-op experience. I find it very difficult to see anything couch co-op. Like, I've got a large television, I've got the Xbox One X, so it's like graphically looks very good, but I don't know. I always want games to have a split screen, but then when I actually experience the split screen, I think, like, oh man, it's very difficult to see anything that's going on. And it just makes me think of, you know, in high school, and I'd be playing GoldenEye with 3 friends, so it would be like a 4-player split screen, and the TV would only be 27 inches big, and I think, like, how could you see anything in that little quarter of the screen? And I think it's just that the backgrounds and things were much simpler then. They were much plainer in all of those GoldenEye levels, so you could see what was going on, whereas with Call of Duty, there's so much graphically that's going on. There's weather effects. The draw distance is like huge. You can see so far away. There's so many things going on, and obstacles and enemies, and you've got people on your own side and people on the other side, and I find it difficult to tell the difference between them. So I'm finding the split screen is very hard to know what I'm doing. The other problem I have with it is that ever since I played New Doom, I feel like that's how every shooter should be played. So I tend to just like run headlong into the enemies, like, you want some of this? And then I die, because not every game is meant to be played that way. But I don't know, it's a habit I can't seem to get myself out of. So yeah, Black Ops 3, it's fine. It's a Call of Duty game. It's nice that I can play with Will, even though I often don't know what's going on. So another thing that I've went back to is Nier Automata, and I played this last year, but I only played through to ending A, and while I really liked a lot of what was going on in Nier, I have this sort of mental block, chip on my shoulder about having to repeat things in games. Like, if I play a game and it crashes, or I forget to save and I lose a couple hours of gameplay, chances are I'll just be like, all right, well, never playing that again, rather than replay it. So just, I knew going into it that you had to play through multiple times in order to get to the real ending. And it just really put me off. But I finally went back, I finished ending B. It did not make me feel any better, because playthrough A and playthrough B are almost exactly the same. You see some things from 9S's perspective where you didn't see them in the first game, and there's a couple of like extra little scenes, more hacking, but overall I'd say 90% of the content was the exact same thing. So I'm not pleased that I replayed it for like 6 hours. So I know C, you play a whole different character in a different set of events, so I will continue playing to there, but I feel like this payoff better be fantastic, because the journey has not pleased me. I like the hack and slash, the combination of like hack and slash and shoot 'em up or twin stick shooter, but just the repetition is just like, that is not a good way to endear yourself to me if you're a game. So I don't know, I guess next month I will let you know how playthrough C and maybe D and E went, and my final thoughts on the game. So I finished a couple games that I started in December. The first was Cuphead, which at the time that I made my best of 2017 video, I was 2 bosses away from finishing, but I still felt good about putting that near the top of my list because I thought it was fantastic. So I finally beat the dice boss, which was the more challenging one. It was just sort of a lot of learning because it's broken up into multiple smaller fights, and then once you get to Dice Boss, he's very, very hard, although I kinda did a little workaround so I wouldn't have to do too much parry slapping, which I was failing at. And then after Dice Boss, I found the Devil was pretty easy. He didn't take too much time at all to kill compared to the rest of the bosses. For me, I think the hardest boss was the Matchstick Dragon. I probably failed that over 100 times. Other ones I had trouble with were Dr. Cal's robot, who took me a long time to get through phase 1, although once I got through phase 1, I found phase 2 and 3 were much, much easier. And then I guess I'd put Dice Boss as number 3. If you've played Cuphead, tell me what you think the most difficult bosses were. So I'm happy to have beaten that, and I've even went back and tried a few levels on expert mode. Another one that I started in December but I just finished a couple days ago was Super Lucky's Tale, which was an Xbox exclusive that came out, and it was okay. It was like a mediocre platformer. The fox, Lucky, was cute, but he didn't have too many abilities, basically just spinning his tail and burrowing and jumping, and that was it. And I also felt he should have felt much more agile since he was a fox, whereas I felt his jump seemed a little lacking. Like a lot of times in the platforming segments, I felt like I was just barely making the jumps onto new blocks and things, and even his double jump didn't really add any height, it just sort of added time that he was in the air. There was also a couple other things with the perspective, with the 3D. It was sometimes very difficult to know where, in terms of depth, things were on the screen, and sometimes it sent you like way off into the background of the screen, and you're a little teeny tiny. It was very hard to tell what was going on. But there were some good things about it. I really liked all the collectibles in the game. Those were fun to find, and I ended up 100%ing it. And there were also sort of like endless runner levels where you would be able to burrow into the ground and sort of pop up to avoid enemies or to get coins and things, and I really liked those levels. But overall, Super Lucky's Tale was just okay. I also played another game which was just free on Games with Gold, and that is Zombie, previously known as Zombie U when it was a Wii U exclusive. And I'm one of the people who doesn't really get sick of zombie games. I tend to like them. I tend to be able to play a lot of them, especially when they have sort of the resource management survival aspects to them. And this game was okay. One of the interesting things that they did was that if you died, like, you were dead forever. So if you died, you would start again as a new survivor. And the whole concept of the game was there was someone called the Prepper who would talk to you in a safe house and like send you on missions and tell you to do things. And so if you died, it would just be a new person that he would start sort of taking over and grooming in order to be prepared himself. So that was good. I did find eventually the game sort of started dragging on a little long. There were zombies that for some reason had gas tanks on their back, and they would explode if you hit them with a bat, which doesn't make sense. Like, if you shoot them and they explode, like, okay, movie logic, I can understand, but why would you explode if I hit you in the head with a cricket bat? So I got blown up by these exploding zombies probably 6 times. Like, the first 4 times I ran into them, I just immediately smacked them on the head and just blew up, had to start a new survivor, which kind of sucked. But other than that, the game was good. I mean, the story was nothing special, but the gameplay was fun enough. I really liked there was sort of like a surveillance theme going on. You'd have to find these CCTV junction boxes and hack them, and then you would be able to see sort of what was going on in that section of London, which is where the game takes place. So Zombie was an okay game, probably not up there with my favorite zombie games, but worth playing at least. I got a new rhythm game, which is Crypt of the Necrodancer, and I have never bounced off a game so fast in my entire life. And that's not because I think it's a bad game. Based on reviews and everything, everyone thinks it's great, and it's just so emphatically not my jam. So it's this rhythm game, dungeon crawler, roguelike, which just, those three combined is just automatically like just kind of overwhelming to me. The thought of a roguelike where you can lose your progress because you like didn't stay on beat is kind of like, ugh, that's not appealing to me at all. So you have to go in these dungeons, you can only move on the beat, all the enemies sort of have their own rhythm that you have to learn how they move, and it was just like, just not for me. So I wish there were refunds on Xbox One, but there aren't, because I only played the game for like 5 minutes before I decided no. Although speaking of Xbox One, I signed up for Game Pass just recently. They announced that the Microsoft sort of first-party games, as few of them as there are, would go on Game Pass day one. So that means State of Decay, Crackdown 3, and Sea of Thieves. If you get Game Pass, you have access to that game on day one for just the $10 a month fee, which is great. State of Decay is one that I will definitely be playing because I really like the first one, and a bunch of people in the Cartridge Club are planning on playing Sea of Thieves, so I'll also get that one. And what I like about this is that it lets me try games, because Xbox hasn't implemented the return policy that they said they were going to implement a while ago, I think back in the summer. It's nice. I think I've downloaded since I got it like 10 different games. Some were things I just wanted to try. Shantae and the Pirate's Curse is one of them. I sort of tried that out, realized it wasn't really for me, so it was a nice sort of like safe way to try a game without having to worry about spending the money on it and not liking it. There's a lot of games that I already have on Steam, but I would rather play them on console on Xbox, so I've downloaded a bunch of those, even things that I've sort of replayed. The first thing I played was Deadlight, just because on the Polykill podcast they talked about that game, and it just made me think, oh yeah, I like that game. I actually did a video on it, one of my episodes of Short Games for Busy People, and so I played that over again. I downloaded the Swapper and I'm playing that again because I love that game. I just didn't really want to play it on PC again. And the one sort of new to me game that I got on Xbox Game Pass is Hue, and it is a puzzle game that uses color to solve the puzzles. So as you go through, you get access or control over 8 colors, I think. So in each puzzle, you're like in a room and there's all these different color boxes, and you have to sort of figure out the way to get out of the room. There's often traps, things that will kill you. So you can change the background. So say you change the background to red, then all the red boxes disappear. So you use that kind of strategy in order to get through the puzzles, and they were really good. At the end they got a little bit challenging, but I really liked the game, and I thought that it was very clever in the way that it did things. So yeah, I'm liking Xbox Game Pass so far. So that's it for me. That's everything that I was up to in January. Leave me a comment. Tell me if you've played any of the games I've been playing, or if there's anything particularly interesting that you played that you want to recommend to me. Any interesting pickups, anything like that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Look at these lazy animals I have. There's Momo. You don't usually see Momo in videos. She used to live in the bedroom mostly, but now she's decided she yearns for adventure and jumping on the counters. And then there's Lily. Lily! Hi. Huh? Huh? Okay. No.